Once again, the month of April seems to just bite Bryan and WWE in the ass. Last year, it was he wins the title on April 6th, goes on a honeymoon, comes back to the tragic passing of his father, comes back to the tragic passing of Conor the Crusher, then gets injured and is out for 9 months. Now we're back here in April. They give him the Intercontinental title, let him lead the way of the adventure of bringing the mid-card titles back to relevance, and we haven't seen him in a singles match in quite a while.
Well, I think the one thing that I want to know is WWE trying to hide his injury? They need to know, and I'm not going to say anything bad about the doctors because I'm not there. I don't understand their process, their protocol. But it's either Daniel Bryan trying to hide injury, WWE trying to book Daniel Bryan into WrestleMania. If you knew Daniel Bryan was hurt, why does he become champion at WrestleMania 31? To shut everybody up? Horrible business decision. Now Daniel Bryan's hurt. What is the longevity of his injury? Is he going to be able to defend it at Extreme Rules? I'm not sure where to go with this, but Daniel Bryan has reached his highest of heights a year ago, and now it just seems like after injury, Daniel Bryan can't catch a break. And I feel bad for the guy because he puts all of his body, all of his time, his effort into this sport, but the sport's not giving it back to him.
Unfortunately, and this is a very big staple of the Vince McMahon regime, the one thing that I've always known Vince McMahon to do is tell the next person to step up when an injury happens. Daniel Bryan goes down, it's an opportunity to someone like a Neville or a Sami Zayn or a Kevin Owens or someone else we may talk about this weekend in another segment. But if you look at what Daniel Bryan has done in the past year, he's hit that peak. Unfortunately for him, that peak only lasted about a year from when he started before WrestleMania 30 against The Authority. You look at other wrestlers like a Stone Cold Steve Austin who've been out because of injury. You look at Triple H who was out with a torn quad. There's guys that have been out, but they've already had great runs longer than just a year. Unfortunately for Daniel Bryan, and I'm not saying the end is near, but if it is, he's been cheated, not intentionally, just the fact that he only had a year on top when how much could he have had? And I'm not saying that he's done, but if he is, it's a shame.
I think even if this is another injury break, when he comes back, WWE Universe is still going to be behind him. They're still going to be yesing. I definitely think he's over still.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt. That's the beauty with Daniel Bryan. I mean, you got a guy like Wade Barrett who's been injured several times over the last few years. Barrett, they had to continue to hit the reset button with because he didn't have the fanfare that Bryan
They
has.
don't need to do that with Bryan.
Bryan, you don't. But this goes back to why, we always get you're a WWE apologist, everything WWE does is right. This is why I defended WWE when Bryan came back in January for the Rumble. And he was not going to be in the world title picture, and I said that's fine. Not only because that title can go to somebody else who needs it, but you can't. Bryan didn't ask for any of those negative things to happen last April, but they still happened. They still affected business. So it becomes a business decision. And WWE had to make a business decision, which is you're not going to put the title right back on a guy who's coming off of an injury, a neck injury, who we've seen that's debilitated. I mean, that Stone Cold Steve Austin altered his entire career with his. He used to be a workhorse, and then after that injury in '97. He basically limited himself to punch, kicks, middle finger, Luthez press, and stunner. He made a great run out of it, but he had to change things up. And so, back to Brittany's point, Bryan is never going to go away. Just the sight of him doing the yes thing gets him over, so there's no need for him even, it doesn't matter to put titles on him at all.
You look at the guy who's probably the most intimidating and most athletic person in the WWE, or one of them, Brock Lesnar, on a part-time schedule. Why not, if Daniel Bryan's going to continue this run with the WWE, why not make it a part-time run? Again, you don't want to have the title on him, that title, if it's a part-time run. He's not world champ with a part-time run. But if you're going to have him as that special attraction who everyone pops for, look at Shawn Michaels.
But is he
when
at
he
that
went
level?
out the first time, when he was injured with the back before he came back, I mean, he came back sporadically, back and forth. Who's a Shawn Michaels guy? Daniel Bryan. The parallels are unbelievable in this.
I just don't know if he's at that point right now where he can be booked as a part-time guy, just because he still is relatively young in WWE terms. He still has a lot to offer for WWE in merchandise sales, live shows. I mean, when you don't have guys like John Cena, and you split it up. Daniel Bryan can go sell out live events and make some money for WWE while John Cena does another show 2 hours away. I think Daniel Bryan now, he can't be a part-time guy, but give him enough time to be healthy. I don't think WWE did that the first time around.
Final point, Brittany, I mean, you're in the ring every single week training, and you know more than any of us about taking bumps. They're talking about Bryan and the neck damage, and then that created the nerve damage into the hands and a lack of strength. I mean, how important is...
It's super important for him. First, he has to protect himself. Too, you have to protect who you're working with.
Right.
You definitely don't want to hurt yourself. You definitely don't want to hurt other people because they're not going to want to work with you.
You want somebody scooping you up who has questionable strength? And
definitely not.
Well, it's not going to be you then trying to scoop her up.
That's right.
Yeah,
it will not be me.
No.
Don't even start.
I'd like to see Britt give you the Ronda Rousey Ronda
Ruzi.
Rousey.
Who's Ruzi?
Yeah, no.
Next week
Let's-
on
let's-
CSR,
let's-
we're
let's-
shaking
we,
bake.
we have to save the big moments for the big shows. All right, maybe 330 episodes. Maybe we'll bring a ring into the studio.